Hello and welcome to this video series on the unit circle. So this is the first video in the series and we're going to be answering these questions on this slide. So maybe you want to give these questions a go before moving on. First thing we need to know about the unit circle is how to number the quadrants. So think of this as a Cartesian plane. Well, it is a Cartesian plane. And we're going to label the quadrants going in anti-clockwise direction. So this is quadrant 1. This is quadrant 2, this is quadrant 3, and this is quadrant 4. The next thing you need to know is where the angles will lie, where the angles in the unit circle will lie. And we know this because we label them starting here, 0 degrees, and then that goes up to a right angle, which is 90 degrees. And then that goes to 180 degrees, a straight angle. And then 180 plus 90 is 270, gets us to that third thing, and then all the way back up to 360. So you need to be able to mark in these angles to guide where your angle fits on the unit circle. So we've got quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's the first thing you need to know. And let's have a look at some questions. So in which quadrant of the number plane will P, a point on the unit circle, be when theta is 120? When theta is 120. So we can come back here because we've drawn it and let's draw in theta. 120. So the first quadrant is between 0 and 90. The next quadrant is between 90 and 180. So that's where the angle theta will lie. Okay, so it lies in quadrant 2. So we can just write that. And now it says, in which quadrant of the number plane will P be when theta is 240? So I'm just going to hit undo. Now, which of these quadrants, 1, 2, 3, or 4, would 240 sit? So as you go around, this is between 0 and 90. This is between 90 and 180. And we are looking for 240, which lies between 180 and 270. So you can just throw in a line there. And that's what 240 is. So that sits in quadrant 3. Now let's look on the next slide. In which quadrant of the number plane will P be when theta is 330? So I'm just going to draw this Cartesian plane again because it's always helpful to draw it again and get it into your mind. Okay, so we start off with a Cartesian plane. Might be a bit wonky, sorry. In which quadrant? So, and then we put in our values of the degrees. So 0 degrees, 90 degrees gets to a right angle. 180 gets to a straight angle. Plus another 90 gets to 270. A lot of students forget that bit. And then we get back to 360. So 330 will lie here. 330. And remember how we label the quadrants? We label them starting on the right-hand side at the top. So that's quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is where 330 lies, quadrant 4, in between 270 and 360. And then I'll just get another color and use this same Cartesian plane. Where does 70 degrees lie? Well, that lies between 0 and 90. So that's going to be our theta this time, and it will lie in quadrant 1. Now, looking at this, so when we're working with unit circles, there's going to be 2 parts to our answer. So in this video, we're focusing on the sign, so whether our answer is positive or negative. And in the next video, or in a later video, actually, we're going to look at the value. But I just really want you to get to know what the sign of our answer will be and how to find that and understanding that. So it says use the coordinates of P to find the sign of sine 120. So it's hard to talk about because we've got this type of sign, positive or negative, and we've got sine as in S-I-N-E. But try not to get too caught up in it. The coordinates of P to find the sign of this. Well, the first place to start is just draw your Cartesian plane again, right? Just draw it and see where it sits. 180, 270, got a different color, and 120 sits here, 120, and they are saying, what's the sine of this? Now, this is something I haven't mentioned before. I want you to lock in your mind that the x coordinate is cos theta and the y coordinate is sine theta. Now, looking on the Cartesian plane, can you see that all of our x values here, let's do this in green, in this quadrant 2, where the angle lies, all of our x values are negative, right? If you've got 0, you've got, -1, -2, -3, something like that. And then our values there are positive. And can you see that the y values in this quadrant are going to be positive? And we know that the y coordinate down here is sine theta. The y coordinate is sine theta. There's other videos on YouTube that will show you why, but I just want you to have this in your mind. So can you see that the y values are positive? So we know that y means sine theta, and so sine theta is going to be a positive value. See how the y values are positive? Now looking here, what's sine 240 going to be? I'm just going to mark it in, let's say in orange. In which quadrant does 240 lie? Well, 240 is between 180 and 270. So I'm going to just put it there. I know that it would go around like that. And then I look here and I can put in my y values too, because I know that sine is the y coordinate. So looking on that y-axis, we've got -1, -2, it's something like that. We know that they're negative values. So that means that sine is negative in that third quadrant. Sine is negative because those y values are negative. Now, again, use the coordinates of P to find the sine, the SIGN of sine 330. It just starts with the Cartesian plane. Just draw it up and see where it sits. That's all it is. Now, I'm not sure. There was a little degree symbol there that was annoying me. So, a little bit off balance, but that's fine. Just a rough picture of where we're sitting. Sine 330. Let's do it in pink. So 330 lies between 270 and 360. And so I know that sine means the y coordinate. Now in this quadrant, if I put a point there, is it going to have a negative or a positive y value? So I know it's going to have a positive x value, right? If we put that there. But it is going to have a negative y value, right? It's going to have a negative y value. So sine 330 is going to be negative. I hope that that makes a bit of sense. Let's try for sine 70. So sine 70 would lie between 0 and 90. So I'll put it there. And you're just thinking, well, sine theta means the y coordinate. So if I have a point on the unit circle there, the y coordinate is going to be positive, right? If you're labeling up your coordinates, you'd have, positives and you'd have negatives. So it's going to have a positive x value and a positive y value. So I'm going to be positive. Now there's a quicker way to do this, and I'm going to show you very soon. Let's check this out. Use the coordinates of P to find the sine of cos 120, and we'll just quickly draw up a thing. Ah, that was a bit wonky, wasn't it? 0, 90, 180, 270, and back to 360. Cos 120. So I know that 120 lies between 90 and 180, right? Now, I know that, so this is a bit different to the last question. We've got cos theta is the x coordinate. So if you mark in a point here, is that going to have a positive or a negative x value? It's going to be a negative x value, right? Because these are the negative values, these are the positive. So we know that the x coordinate is cos, so it's going to be a negative value for cos 120. I hope that that makes sense. Cos 240, well, that lies between 180 and 270. So we've got that. Now think about cos, that means the x coordinate. And are the values of x for this point here, is it going to be a positive or negative x value? It's going to be a negative x value and also be a negative y value. But we're just worried about the cos because that's the x coordinate. So that's going to be a negative. I think we are going to leave it there. And I just want you to have a think about it, all right? Sorry, I'm flipping around. I want you to lock these two things in your mind. So this Cartesian plane with the degrees around the outside, so counting 0, 90, 180, 270, 360, and that this is quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. So I want you to lock that in your mind and lock this in your mind. Cos theta is the x coordinate, sine theta is the y coordinate. But yeah, just lock this in your mind, and I will see you in the next video to show you a trick that will help us to quickly find whether sine is positive or negative or cos is positive or negative. So I will see you then.